We're back in studio and it's nice. That break uh, took me back in the years in 1990 when Kenya was clamoring for multipartyism. And the following year, 1991, there was a huge uprising because the then ruling party in Kenya was trying to set up a building complex at Uhuru Park. It's one of the recreational parks in the center of Nairobi, and it is so protected because they wanted to grab it and put up some structures over there. One lady who is a Kenyan strong woman, Professor Wangari Maathai, born April 1, 1940, Fool's Day, shares a birth with my eldest son called Oliver. I didn't know, I'm just noting it now. Stood up and rallied other women to fight against a strong regime. Daniel Arap Moi Kenya ruled Kenya with an iron fist. You're not going to say nothing in front of the government that time. And Daniel Arap Moi was ruthless when it came to cracking down on dissent. Professor Wangari Maathai stood up against Moi, and President Moi said, "Oyo mwanamuke," yes, oyo mwanamke ndio, but then that complex by the Kenya Times Media Trust was not put up after all. Yes, it was mwanamke, but she rallied other women to go and camp at Uhuru Park and refuse anything that was going to. He rallied the country against thinking even of anything like acquiring the land and put up buildings, commercial buildings. Her story is very long. I also admire her because at the time of her death, she said she wished she had more time with her family and children because she was so engrossed in public life. She served the country. She was selfless. She's our fallen hero today, died in 2011. Professor Wangari Maathai, rest in peace.
Professor Wangari Maathai. When I think about Professor Wangari Maathai, she takes me back. She takes me way, way back to my high school days, the Green Belt movement. And for Professor Wangari Maathai, Karura Forest was quite, like her heart. Wangari Maathai had to make sure trees were planted in Karura Forest. Do you know there was a time Nairobi was going to go dry, and we were going to lose the forest cover in Nairobi? There was not going to be rain. And if were it not for Wangari Maathai, today Karura Forest would not be standing where it is standing.
You're talking about high school. That time I was in the university and I was in KU. And even students that time protested a lot.
Yeah.
And they would say, we are going to make Nairobi ungovernable until this stops. And indeed it stopped.
It stopped. And you see, today, do you know the greenery? People can now go to Karura Forest, jog in Karura Forest, have picnics in Karura Forest. Karura Forest has become a beauty. And the rain, the water tower, now we can now have water. And you know, there's some things that when we see visionary leaders having, we may not understand. But this woman had a great, great vision for Nairobi. Another thing I remember about Wangari Maathai, there was a time around GPO area, Uhuru Park, when you're in a bus and you're moving in. I go to that, I pass by that place and I see naked women, all stripped naked, and you're embarrassed, you'd want to go cover them. Yeah? But these women decided to bear themselves naked because they had to cry for their land. They had to cry for their children. They wanted the government to come out and stand on behalf of their children. They were wives of the freedom fighters. You remember?
Yeah.
All these were initiatives run by this lady, Wangari Maathai. And then, when now the government did not want her to talk about what she was talking, you know what they did? They brought in policemen, and her hair, she was ever in braids like mine. Or even worse.
Trademark.
They pulled, pulled her, held her, they held her miserably and pulled her. And that's why I still go back to your line. Your wife, your mother, your sister are all women. So when it comes to even a time when the police are looking at arresting you for maybe having a indecent behavior or something, they should always remember that this is a woman. This is a woman. And it could be their mother. It could be their daughter. It could be their wife.
I don't want to be another minor Kageni talking about women issues all the time. And therefore now, let's go to the hard part and say we have to end now about Wangari Maathai, but we have to say that after Wangari Maathai came other women, or alongside Wangari Maathai, there were other women. But now look at where Kenya is. The Chief Justice of Kenya, Martha Koome, was a vibrant activist those times. She's now the Chief Justice of Kenya. Last parliament, the 10th parliament, I think, Joyce Laboso was the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. Powerful position. Those times, Daniel Arap Moi was able to appoint a woman as a provincial commissioner, which was a preserve of the men. And going back to the 70s, it was, I would say, crazy, because Jomo Kenyatta at some point, and when he mentioned Kenyatta, you know what you're talking about? He would have seven out of 8 provincial commissioners coming from his Kikuyu community. 7 out of 8. So my country has come a long way. And that's why Daniel Arap Moi said he was going to follow the footsteps of his predecessor. When I talk about the history of my country, I love it because I studied, I read it, and I follow it.
One thing I love, let me interject you right there, Kaka.
Yeah.
Let me interject you right there. One thing I love about the journey to democracy, look back on the Kenyan history. Starting from our first president, the President Jomo Kenyatta, there were things that Kenyans would not do today. Look at the current government. In as much as there are some struggles here and there, but we notice that right now, the space is open. People can actively speak about what they feel is going wrong about our leadership, what they feel is going wrong about our administration. Push it back about 15 years back. Would anybody talk about that? If we would have been having this show today, would we have a list for tomorrow?
It's not going to be harder. Let's see the last.
Look at not Koigiwa Wamwere, the writer. What's his name? The one in the US right now. Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. If people like Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o was still in Kenya, would he be who he is today?
It's not going to be.
Yeah. So let us not quote these things in chocolate. Yeah. We have people we can mention who steadied the path for us. Jimmy Orengo. People who steadied the path for us. Raila Amolo Odinga. People who steadied the path for us. And right now, we can stand and have mics upon our mouths. Wangari Maathai, Martha Karua, yeah? Mwai Kibaki. I'm thinking of Reverend Joya.
Oh yeah,
You know?
one. Yeah, yes. I know those ones.
Yeah.
Anyhow, those time,
Kivuta kibwana.
every time there was a matter to be discussed, a national dialogue, there were people who were going to be in that list no matter what. Mutava Musimi, there was Kirima, Archbishop, and there was Ndingi Mwananzeki, and others. There has been a contribution by the ordinary people on the road, because people suffered tear gas in Nairobi.
Yes, I did.
People suffered guns, people died. And Kenya is now a better country. Why I think Kenya is now a better country and many other countries in Africa is because we have been able to liberalize the airwaves and people are able to broadcast, say what you have to say and express yourself. You will not believe it. I saw an article, I think it's that the Nation Media Group had applied for a broadcast license. They were made to wait for 7 years.
Oh yeah.
Before they were allowed to broadcast privately. And so the government was running the only mouthpiece that time, the Voice of Kenya, the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, run by government, a government propaganda machine. So now, we're almost coming to the close of the show, and we will not close the show without talking about what is happening in Kenya now. They're forming coalitions. Who joins who to vie for what position? Who is trying to woo who to come to their camp? Apparently, Kenya is the most competitive democracy in Africa. I should think so. Because elections are almost a matter of life and death. Now there's UDA. I don't know what's the attack name. Because I know there is Azimio la Umoja or Kenya by Raila Odinga, and there's this other one by Samoei Ruto, the deputy president.
I don't remember the tagline, but I can get it for you. I will get it for you. Give me a minute.
Anyway, no problem. I don't know what happened to the Kielewekes and the Tangatangas.
The Kielewekes and Tangatangas.
Where did they go to those people? Who is in Kenya to tell us this?
Kielewekes and Tangatanga are UDA.
They are UNDA.
They are UDA.
Anyhow, I like how people are able to engage in dialogue in Kenya. There are TV debates, there are debates on radio, there are debates in the market. And now, Kenya broadcasts to the citizenry in mother languages. You know, we speak in English, we speak in Swahili, we speak in wherever. So, kudos to Kenyans, because I know you seek civic education, you know your civil rights, you know your democratic rights, you know what to do, you know what not to do. And therefore, good luck Kenyans as you prepare to vote in August. I'm a former student of law. I dropped off law school though. And I can remember the constitution says there shall be elections every second Tuesday of August of every 5th year. It is your 5th year, 2022. It is election time. Vote wisely.
What I can say, UDA, the slogan for UDA is kazi ni kazi. Kazi ni kazi. Loosely translated in English to mean work is work.
We run away.
Yeah, but what I can say is that no matter what political affiliation you may have, one thing I need to advise the Kenyan youth: think about your future. Look at the past. See how Kenya has grown democratically, and know that your vote is a key to your future. Do not hesitate to vote. Vote, because your voice would determine whichever side you choose to vote on. Look at another thing I would tell you: when you're choosing whomever you want to vote for, look at history, look at what history did for you, think about your future, and remember your vote is your voice, and your voice is your future. Vote wisely.
I was in Kenya when the old system, the KANU system, the Independence Party was removed from power in 2002. And I'm a scholar of history. I study history a lot and have a big interest in the history of Kenya. Now, when Moi Kibaki came into power, there's something he taught Kenyans, and we all agree that people can pay taxes and the taxes are going to work for you. At some point, unlike in the past, Kenya was able to finance its budget 95% from domestic sources. Unlike in the past where it used to borrow a lot, it was financed mainly from donor funding, borrowing and stuff like that. Now that you pay taxes, Kenyans, and I'm one of the people who pay taxes by some of the things I do in Kenya, I also am a benefactor to many people in Kenya by what my resources here demand for accountability.
Oh, yes.
Demand to see what happens. This is on TV, broadcasting worldwide, and it pains me. It bleeds my heart when I know there is so much misappropriation of public funds.
Yes.
We have a shortage of everything, not because you don't have enough resources, at least to get enough for everybody, but it is going to the wrong hands. It's being mismanaged. You can change that. Changing from the Kanu system to these other systems that have all come, Kenya now has super highways. Kenya takes its children to school. Kenya has free maternity for mothers.
And did you know what? Last week we had the first pediatric National Pediatric Hospital open. The first national referral pediatric hospital opened by the President Uhuru Kenyatta. And let me tell you, that has been a dream. It has been private business. Pediatric hospitals have been private business. When you walk into Kenyatta, the National Referral Hospital, the pediatric wing was just a small thing. But right now they have opened a referral hospital for the children. Don't you see that it is possible? It is possible for us to make change. And in as much as there may be a lot on the negative side, but it is possible that when we look towards development, we can develop. Let us stop focusing on leaders who are selfish. And that is where we started from, serving. Let us look for leaders who are willing to serve. And when they're willing to serve, they grow with us. They don't make us suffer. I hear we are all called Wanjiko, right? When Wanjiko is here suffering, I can't get bread on my table, Mr. Businessman will be doing his business meetings and government officer will be sitting in the big hotels eating a huge meal and sleeping. Wanjiko, think wisely. Wanjiko, look at things that will benefit you and your child because you pay taxes. Right now you cannot afford cooking oil.
I'm told.
Yeah.
This is bad news.
Right now you cannot afford cooking oil. Right now there's so much hunger in the villages. There's no maize. In Nyanza there's no maize. Yeah? So let us look at people who will bring in food. People who will help us invest for the future of our children. For me and for you and for Kenya so that Kenya can be greater.
As we come to the end of the show, it is our first broadcast with a guest in the house who happened to have warmed up the studio very much. But I am tempted to get hard and play rough. But I don't want to put Kenyans between a head rock and a hard surface, the anvil and the hammer. But then I have to remind you of something I watched on TV sometime in the past. There was a guy called Chelogo who would come and do talk shows like this. He is dead though. He died too soon. I didn't know how he died. He would come on TV panels. He said, political power is a resource. It's a national resource. And it should be distributed equitably or properly. So that if political power is going to be beneficial, people are going to feel included in politics and running of their country. There should be some rotation of some sort. Because in Kenya and in Africa, the tribe, your community, your ethnicity is a big deal. So we cannot have political power rotating between circles. Other people cannot get in. That is why we're having that challenge of dynasties. We have dynasties, the Odingas of this world, the Kenyatas of this world, the Mois of this world, the whoever of this world. But then again, the hustlers are also the hustlers of the nation, which are resonating very well with the people. But still, who created this hustler nation? The hustler nation is just a clique. I had a university tutor who was called Mr. Ngome. He would tell us, for example, the only thing Daniel Arap Moi, it's those times, the only thing Daniel Arap Moi has in common with the Kalenjins is the mother tongue. The only thing Joseph Kamoto at that time had with the Kikuyus, the common Kikuyus, is the mother tongue. Because everything else is not Kenyan. It's not what Kenyans live ordinarily. And that is how you saw Gideon Moi, having come from the US, I don't know, UK, wherever, he wouldn't say Baringo Yakati, he would say Baringo Yaketi. So, that is where we are. Yoktari. What are these things? Those are not Kalenjins. Those are not Kikuyus. Those are not what? Anyhow, your final word, my guest. I am getting emotional. I love my country.
My final word would be, with God, nothing is impossible. And one thing I know, God places the leaders that we choose. You have been given a chance, and that's why when God gave you the chance of choice, He made you greater than all the creation He had made. So make use of that. And do not forget, you lead by service. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time. Are you going to invite me?
Evanyal Alande. Make this studio your home. Whenever you have something to discuss, let us know. Whenever you have something to tell Kenyans and the world, let us know. Not that you're not going to look for you. You'll be on our speed dial. You are our resource. Thank you very much for coming.
I appreciate being brought into this show today. And Kaka, you're going places. And I know you will be a force to reckon with. So keep going.
Can I hear an amen from the studio?
Amen.